Hello and welcome to On the Agenda, a semi-monthly podcast by the City of Reno that quickly updates you on actions taken at recent council meetings and checks in with various departments across the city to keep you up to date with the happenings within the halls of City Hall, all within the time it takes you to drive to work or maybe loop McCarran Boulevard. I'm AJ from the City of Reno's communications team, and joining me, as always, Reno City Manager Jackie Bryant. Hello, Jackie. How are you today?
Hi, AJ.
I'm so glad that it's getting warm outside.
I'm not. It's March.
It's
wrong. It's supposed to be cold.
That's true.
I got trees with blooms that are going to fall off at the next frost.
Yeah,
so.
I made a mistake of posting a photo of the trees in my yard, and Urban Forester Basil got on my Facebook and was like, AJ, and I was like, oh no.
What did you have, a Bradbury pear or something?
Thankfully, no. It was a cypress tree. Those are bad. Those are very bad.
They are bad.
Those are so bad. Or juniper trees is what they are.
It's a juniper that's bad.
Yes. Not a cypress. Those are nice.
I knew what you meant. Junk the junipers.
Yeah, junk the junipers. They're very bad, Angela.
I know they have black widows. That's why I don't like them.
They have all
Full
kinds of
spiders.
nastiness in them.
Oh, God.
And they catch fire easy.
So easy.
So everybody, junk your junipers.
Today we are continuing a conversation we started in a previous episode around live entertainment in Reno. We are talking about what it is, how it's regulated, and what we're hearing from the community. But before we get started, let's hear some highlights from our last council meeting. Here with those highlights, Reno City Manager Jackie Bryant.
Thank you very much, AJ. This week's council meeting covered a range of topics from community priorities, including items related to neighborhood safety, infrastructure, and some others, such as council approved some contracts related to the Rivermount Septic to Sewer Conversion Project, which brings reliable sewer infrastructure into that neighborhood to support long-term neighborhood sustainability. Council also approved contracts for the Colorado River Boulevard Sidewalk Improvement Program, say that 3 times fast, paid for by the Community Development Block Grant Funds. This project will greatly improve pedestrian safety in Southeast Reno. Council heard an update regarding the 2026 primary election process, including new ballot marking devices, ADA curbside voting, election timelines, and more. Please, please, please get out and vote in the upcoming primary. And finally, Council approved an interlocal agreement with the Washoe County Sheriff's Office for RPD staffing support.
Thank you for that, Jackie. If you would like to learn more or view past highlights, you can visit reno.gov/news and click the highlights post that's just right there at the top. Now, on to this week's topic. During the meeting, Council also continued the discussion around live entertainment. Here to talk more about just what that all is Assistant Director of Development Services, Angela Foose. Hello, Angela. Welcome back to On the Agenda.
Hello, AJ. Thank you so much for having me.
You're in the running now to be the most visited guest. So.
Yes.
Is that good or bad?
Right, we're always talking about your department. What's going on? So, Angela, to start us off, why are we talking about live entertainment? What's driving this conversation? What's going on?
Live entertainment has been a topic, I would say a hot topic for the past couple years, mostly coming out of COVID. During COVID, everything shut down. We really didn't have any concerts or really kind of nightlife activity in downtown Reno. And coming out of COVID, we have really been promoting businesses, encouraging them. And with that, we're also seeing a lot more night activity at, midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, which is great in one perspective. We are a 24-hour town. I would say from the other perspective, we also have a lot of new people that moved into downtown Reno, really since COVID. And so now we're struggling with, we want to see those residents continue to live and want to live in Reno, downtown Reno. But how do we do that in a way that encourages businesses but allows people to sleep at night as well? And it's not specific to just downtown. Mm-hmm. We're also starting to see some trends with nightclubs and more live entertainment activities in the Midtown and 4th Street area. So all good things in terms of creating an entertainment core. But we're running into some challenges with the residents that have to listen to, the noise and the booming from the music and I would say probably more of the drunk crowds in the wee hours of the morning.
That balance is something we've heard quite a bit just in general because people, like you said, people want live entertainment. People also live down there, and we got to find that balance, which it's a challenge to do. So let's take a step back from all of this, though. So what exactly counts as live entertainment
Live entertainment, there's a couple definitions. So state law defines live entertainment, and with that, we make it a little bit more useful in terms of Reno and how Reno interprets it. So live entertainment is anything where you have music. Maybe you have somebody playing a guitar or playing the piano, anything with dancing. If you have a DJ, that's considered live entertainment. What I like to tell people is if you go to the grocery store and there's music on in the background, no, that's not live entertainment. But if you go to a grocery store and there's music in the background and everyone is dancing, that dancing piece then becomes the live entertainment. So you think about most bars. Most bars, you go and you can have your refreshments and there's music generally always in the background. But once you're there to dance, that purpose becomes live entertainment. So that makes you go from just a bar to now a live entertainment type use.
Gotcha. So it's not just like, hey, let's just go have libations.
Right.
Let's go have libations and dance.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Right.
That makes sense. So for businesses that want to offer live entertainments, what are some of the rules that they have to follow today?
Citywide, we do have some rules on live entertainment. We kind of break into two categories, both indoor and outdoor. So you can do outdoor live entertainment. Maybe you have a bar and a restaurant and you want to have some outdoor, bands or music. You can do that until 10 o'clock at night. After 10 o'clock at night, we ask you to shut it down, or you would go through a conditional use permit process, which is a public review process. It's about a $5,000 fee and takes about 3 months. We talk to the neighbors, weigh in with the community. We condition that project, again, specific to that business needs in that location. If you want to do indoor live entertainment, you can do that citywide up until 11 o'clock at night. 11 o'clock at night is basically our cutoff. If you want to have live entertainment after 11, then you have to go through that conditional use permit process.
Gotcha. And that's, like you said, it's to be like this area specifically can go longer than normal 10 o'clock or whatever.
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yep.
And one of the things that I think people don't understand is that the conditional use permit, the CUP, it runs with the land, not with the operator of the business.
Correct.
Can you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah. So when you go through a conditional use permit, again, the operator, whoever, the business owner or the property owner would apply, and they show us what their business is at that time. And then we approve it, and it runs forever with the land. So that makes sense if it is let's say an industrial project that came in and they went through a conditional use permit to have industrial. The project was built. It will forever be industrial. You don't see a lot of changes. But when you have live entertainment, we see a very high turnover of businesses, especially in our downtown area, where you may have one business who, maybe they only want to have live entertainment till 1 a.m, pretty low key. And let's say they get approved, and 20 years later, a new business comes in and they want to go till 5 a.m, and they want music that has that strong bass, that kind of thumping sound, and they want it to be loud. And so they're a very different type of operation. But they now are grandfathered in because 20 years prior, a previous business came in on that same parcel and was allowed to do live entertainment. So we're running into some challenges where it really isn't about the use, it's about how that business operates, that we need more ability to regulate and kind of take a second look at. But because of the way our zoning code works, once you're approved for that conditional use permit at that location, it forever can be that use, regardless of what business comes in. As again, businesses change and ownership changes, as long as it's still being used for live entertainment, you get to use that grandfathered conditional use permit.
And it's because we grant permission for live entertainment, not for EDM music, which is the loud thumping bass, or not for poetry reading, which is also live entertainment.
Correct.
We give them the broad category.
Correct.
So we might have a good operator that comes in and maybe they just want to do DJ trivia and they're quiet, not disruptive to the community or anything. That's live entertainment, and so is a different operator who might not be as respectful of the neighbors and operate differently, yet they're both allowed to legally.
Because they're both considered live entertainment.
They're both considered live entertainment, yeah. And because it runs with the land, it becomes a property right that you can't just take away.
Right.
It's very stringent to be able to remove that CUP. So that tension is kind of what's at interplay in this discussion also.
Yep.
Oh, that's fascinating.
And I think one of our other challenges is over the years, again, we've been requiring conditional use permits either for live entertainment or for nightclubs, however we, called it back in the day. So we have a lot of conditional use permits that have really weird conditions that just don't make sense. A great example is we had one in downtown that was approved probably 10 years ago, and we required that they put up a noise curtain by their front door.
Oh.
Which you're thinking, well, that seems good because it would block the noise. But from a fire perspective, there is no way we should ever have a curtain blocking a front door.
Chief Cochran is calling right now. He would like to have a word with you.
So, at the time, I think the intention was good for why that condition was written, to protect the neighbors from noise. But no, that was a very bad idea. So we just, over time, we just think, wow, maybe it made sense at that time. But fast forward 5, 10, 15, 20 years, it probably doesn't make sense anymore.
And it doesn't make sense because you might also have a different operator. So you have a different service or form of entertainment, I should say, that's being provided, where maybe a curtain doesn't make sense at all at this point, even though you shouldn't have a curtain because that is a fire hazard.
And music and stuff, just from that side of it, that changes so much.
It
just
does.
Generationally, that it 10 years ago, a lot of stuff that's popular now wasn't popular then.
Right.
And that's so fascinating. Wow, this is a lot to think of. So this topic isn't brand new. Council talked about this. It was last June, right? What
We
direction did they
did.
give?
We've been working on this for a couple years now, where we've brought the topic to council and said, let's look at a couple different things. Number one is, are our current regulations working? And that's specific to our zoning code. And that's where we talked about, after 11 o'clock at night, you have to go through this conditional use permit. We also have rules that say after a certain time of night, you have to shut your windows and your doors. If you're in downtown Reno in the summer, a lot of the bars keep their windows open, which is great. That's why we go to, the downtown bars. We can walk, we can sit outside.
Right.
But when there's music playing after, 10 or 11 o'clock at night, and it's blasting through the doors and the windows, that's when it becomes a problem for the people that live nearby. So we have rules in code today that limit when you have to shut your doors and your windows. So that's again kind of one small piece. And some of these seem like no-brainers of, why wouldn't we have that as a rule? But we have these continual problems come up where, when we have a bad operator, they don't listen to reason is the challenge we're having. And so we've had situations where maybe they're continuing to allow people to come in that are already overserved. They are serving minors. They are allowing people to come in that are carrying weapons. There's certain rules on things that you have to do if you're going to operate with live entertainment in a nightclub type setting. And we have repeat offenders who just don't follow the rules.
Ooh.
And so, again, from a land use perspective, it's tough for us to say, "Ooh, gosh, that's a bad operator," but we can't kick them out.
Right.
We don't have enough teeth or enforcement to say we're going to shut you down. We can cite them for different things, but it's become very difficult to kind of maneuver through some of the bad operators. And I would say, 99% of the time, we're able to work with the business community. They want to do good things and they want to stay open. So I don't want this to sound like bars across the city are a problem. They are not.
Right.
But occasionally we do have an operator that we run into challenges with. So again, this has come up over the last couple of years. We've been talking quite a bit with council. When we talked to council last June about this topic, they said, well, we're hearing kind of two sides. The downtown residents are frustrated because it's noisy, and it's excessive noise, not just noise, but truly excessive noise at the wee hours of the morning. And the businesses are frustrated because they're doing their best that they can to open, and they're having to go through all these hurdles and all this red tape. Go out and talk to the community, the broader community, and see what they want to do. So that was kind of the direction from June. So last fall, during September and October, we held 3 community meetings. We also did a community survey, and we asked the community in general, how do you feel about our current regulations? Is it working? Are we too strict? Should we be more strict? And I would say by far the biggest comments came back is do more with enforcement, right? Regardless of what the rules are, enforce the rules. And so that's something that, we as planners are working with our code enforcement, our Reno Police Department, and our business license, so many different departments that kind of touch live entertainment to see if there's better things we can do. One thing that we have started doing just in the last year and a half or so is requiring a security plan. We have a kind of a checklist of items that all nightclubs would have to provide. Show us how you can address these items, whether it's, safe lighting on the outside of your building. How do you handle queuing? So when people are lined up to go into your establishment, how are you managing that crowd control? We don't want to see them getting rowdy and getting into fights. We don't want to see them spilling over into the street. But that is something you as a business owner need to be able to manage. So we've been working with the business owners as they come in for these conditional use permits to address that. And that also gives us as the city a little bit more teeth because they come up with their security plan. And so it's what they've agreed to. It's not what we've mandated they do, right? We've said within these kind of restrictions, show us how you're going to address these items. So it's intended to be more of a cooperative kind of a security plan where we're not demanding something, but saying, show us how you are going to operate and make it work. So I would say that that has been useful. That's not something that's written down as a regulation in our zoning code. It's just something we've started to do. So that's been effective. Again, that's new, and we're kind of testing it out. We had some complaints from some of the businesses saying, well, I'm not a nightclub, but I want to have live entertainment till, maybe 1 o'clock in the morning. And so they said, why do I have to have the same type of security and whatnot as a nightclub? We said, that's a really good point. So we started working with, I would call them the non-nightclubs, maybe bars that just want to have live entertainment, but not till, 5 or 6 in the morning, and saying, okay, you kind of operate differently. So again, come up with a security plan that works for your operation. And if they ever left and a new business came in, we then would say that new business has to give us their security plan. Okay. Because again, we don't want to tie it to the land forever, right? Because businesses change. So we're trying to provide a little bit more flexibility with that security plan and tie it to just the operator that's there today. And then the next time a new, bar or nightclub comes in, we would then work with them to come up with their own security plan.
It's not being like, you have to do this. It's just, tell us, what are you going to do?
Yep, and please. Within limits, right? It's things like there's training that your security personnel needs to go through, even with your bartenders. Do they know how to look for when somebody's been overserved?
Oh, yeah.
So all those things that they should be doing when it's not happening. And like I said, when we have those bad operators, we can go back and say, you agreed to do all these things, and we found tons of areas where you're not doing these things, and that's where we can go after them and cite them for not following their security plan.
That seems pretty reasonable.
It does.
What are the next steps? Where do we go from here? What does this look like moving forward?
We brought this information to council, and it was intended to be more of an update to let them know, the results of the community survey, the results of our just community feedback meetings, to get direction on what do they want to do. And I think the big thing is we don't want to make any rash decisions that we would say, ooh, we probably shouldn't have done that. So council came up with, I would say, kind of a temporary fix. The idea is that we would come back in late April, back to council, with what we're calling a resolution that allows for a temporary stay or kind of halt on requiring conditional use permits for live entertainment. And it's not going to be citywide. We have certain areas of town where we allow 24-hour activity, and that's mostly in downtown, midtown, 4th Street. The rest of the city, you can't have activity after 11, whether it's a nightclub or any kind of activity, without a conditional use permit. So we're going to put some bookends on this. I would say it's not, the whole city gets live entertainment whenever they want, wherever they want. So we're going to come back to council with some ideas of let's do a temporary halt on conditional use permits for live entertainment within certain parts of the city, again, more entertainment areas. And let's also come up with some additional requirements. So while maybe you don't have to go through a conditional use permit, you do have to still go through that security plan, and we'll tie that as part of your business license. So again, the hope is that we're giving the businesses a little reprieve from the cost and the time and the money to have to go through that conditional use permit. But in exchange, they're going to give us a comfort level that they're going to provide the security and come up with some safety measures so that our residents and surrounding businesses have some security, that it's not just a free-for-all.
It makes sense. Be a good neighbor. Like
be
at
a good
home,
neighbor.
You wouldn't keep playing music super loud if your neighbor was like, "Hey, please stop." But
right.
With that, we are sadly out of time. Angela, thank you so much for joining us. Is there anything else you feel people need to know about this or your department or just anything else?
Yeah, I would say that this, like I said, this topic is one that has been at the forefront of our department, and I know the city manager as well, in terms of we hear a lot of complaints, but it's from both sides. So we get complaints from residents, Midtown, downtown, but we also get complaints from business owners saying, what can the city do to be more business friendly? So we're really trying to find a balance. We want to help businesses thrive in downtown, but we also want to encourage people to feel like they can get, a restful night's sleep where they live. And so we're going to do this, I would say, incremental step, see if it works. And if we're successful, then maybe we go back and we permanently change some of our zoning rules to allow more flexibility. And if it doesn't work, we can say, hey, we tried it. And come up with another solution to keep moving forward.
I love that. Your department is very much about balance, right? Because you're like, we want to help expand the city. We want to do these things, but we also worry about our citizens and what they have to say. And this isn't just something you guys are doing. It's because we've heard from citizens and people. So thank you, Angela, so much for joining us on the agenda for your third time. I'm going to say third time. We'll say...
I don't know.
You'll get a badge. It's fine.
We should start giving out badges, like...
We should. I could totally design one.
5, 10, 15.
Yeah, Saturday Night Live does like the 5 members club. Like that could be...
Exactly.
Get a jacket
pictures
or
on the
something.
wall.
Every council meeting, I will do public comment and be like, here is our most interviewed guest. Before we sign off, Jackie, we are meeting again. Well, I'm not in the meeting. You're in the meeting, April 8th
Every
at 10
2
a.m.
weeks, AJ.
What are we looking forward to on the agenda for this meeting?
So among the many things council will consider, council will potentially approve a contract to install 7 ADA-compliant pedestrian ramps in areas like Stead Boulevard, West 7th Street, Skyline Boulevard, and many others. These ramps are being paid for by the Community Development Block Grant Funds to improve walkability in neighborhoods throughout the community. Council will also receive an update and discuss latest community survey and feedback regarding the Lear community meeting and public survey. And also, Council will consider the latest modeling for sewer connection and user rates and whether or not a fee increase is needed.
Awesome. Thank you for that. That is April 8th, 10 a.m., same Reno time, same Reno place here at City Hall.
Every other Wednesday at
Every other
10
Wednesday.
a.m. We need to talk about RDA.
Let's do another podcast.
We need a redevelopment agency podcast, I think. But that also meets every 2 weeks now that it's kind of kicking up.
Right.
It's throwing off some increment. So, I don't know. I think we might want to chat about that.
Yeah, because it is. It's the Reno City Council and Redevelopment Agency.
Well, it's, two different hats.
But same time.
Same people, different hats, different bodies. We start one, then roll into the other, close one, close the other.
We'll get Brian
Trying
in
to
here.
keep it straight. That's right. We'll get Brian and Ashley in here.
Perfect. We'll make them do it. And we can judge them.
That's a good idea.
I looked at our stats the other day, and we actually just celebrated 1 year of being on the air.
Congratulations.
Well, congratulations to you.
I just showed up. It's your idea.
That about does it for this week's episode. If you want to stay in the know with Reno, visit reno.gov/on the agenda. There you will find everything in one convenient place. Council meeting agendas, city news, past episodes, and a link to sign up for the Reno Report newsletter. Thank you for listening to On the Agenda, keeping you connected to the decisions shaping Reno. We will see you next time.